I have a soft spot in my heart for the city of Baltimore. I'm a big fan of the Baltimore Ravens. I look off to the side because I can see my autographed championship year helmet off to the side. I see the signature of Ray Lewis every morning when I wake up, and it's just a great thing to see. And that's the reason why I like Baltimore. And I like Baltimore because I want to see everywhere succeed. And what's been happening over the past, well, better part of a century has just been the outright downfall. Okay, during the previous election cycle, during 2020, did a couple of videos about how there are some good politicians that are out there. Big shout outs to my boy Giovanni Patterson, a great dude who's out there. Hopefully you're doing well, my guy. We'll talk again soon. Hopefully everything's doing well for you. But what's going on down there is atrocious, to say the least. And I know we've looked at different places. We've looked at New York. We've looked at Los Angeles. But there are other little enclaves that are out there of just the absolute downfall of modern society, and nobody's doing anything about it. You can't go anywhere without being fearful. Families of gun violence victims in Baltimore, dubbed a little bit of Haiti in the mid-Atlantic by Tucker Carlson, blasts Democrat leaders for failing to take action after deadliest January in 50 years. Well, when you vote for these Democrats blindly, okay, when you're giving good alternatives for the most part at a 75-78% clip, you get what you vote for. Hopefully you're starting to take notice, though. At least that's what I'm hoping for. It's a loss that no mother should endure, but Roshade Murray has suffered it several times. Wow. Roshade's 18-year-old son, Roderick Burden, was gunned down in Baltimore Street in March of 2012 as he headed to the store to buy medication for a toothache. Almost a decade later, the bullet-ridden body of his twin brother, Romar Burden, 26, was found stripped of his belongings and dumped in a gutter. Ugh. To this day, their killers have never been caught, and highly unlikely to never be as well. When the mother of five, Roshade's tears... here's Fox News host Tucker Carlson comparing her home city to violence-plagued Haiti. She wipes tears away and nods in agreement because it's an accurate description. Unfortunately so, but it is. And this isn't anything that's new, okay? You guys are probably aware of really good television shows that have been out there and at least have some sort of a cult following. The Wire... It was all about Baltimore. It's political corruption. It's rampant crime for good reason. And that came out in, the early 2000s? The late 90s even? Somewhere in there. This has been going on for a very, very, very long time, and nothing has been done to address it. Because that's about the nicest picture of a street in Baltimore that you're going to find in this article. Because as you can see, yeah, you got, a little corner store there, a little greasy spoon. A greasy spoon, rather. No shoot zone 39. Or maybe that's more of just trying to put something good out into the ether, hoping that nobody will shoot, but mostly just unlikely, obviously. Just the little bullet points that are on here. Baltimore, Maryland suffered its deadliest January in almost 50 years with 36 in a month, more than one a day, most of which were shooting deaths in robberies and brazen attacks. The Daily Mail toured the area last week and stumbled across taped-off streets where police forensics teams were marking out more than a dozen shell casings after the aftermath of a 10:30 a.m. shooting. 10:30 in the morning. Like, this stuff isn't even happening in the dead of night. This is a prime time, early, well, not really early morning, depends. It's just Monday morning activity, brunch even, okay? Maybe that's what they were going to K&K carryout for. Across the street, the words "No Shoot Zone" are spray painted on the outside of KK Carryout fast food joint, but the owner takes no chances. They serve customers from behind bulletproof resistant plexiglass. Not uncommon, not specific to one place. And as you can see, a lot of beautiful art, and I'm sure that some people would selectively pick that out, saying that, it's revitalizing the area, and then turning the corner and realize that some of that art is emblazoned on the side of a burnt out building. Aftermath of the 2015 riots, and there still hasn't been proper cleanup of it. Just letting you know, Democrats really taking care of their constituents, right? It's still visible in West Baltimore, where dozens of shops, businesses, and gas stations were burned down and ransacked. And that's Roshade Murray. She wants to pack up and leave Baltimore for the sake of her youngest son, Gerard, 9. Oh, big gap in there between kids, because you had one 26, one 18, and the youngest 9. Just a lot. Who's being raised without a father? That's a big problem. But we'll talk about more. Well, we've talked about it extensively, but I'm just saying, you might not have these problems. But again, if your kids were just, killed for going out, simply, I'll take it at face value here, going out to get toothache medicine, you just got gunned down in the streets, okay? You can't really avoid that. And having a stable relationship with a masculine figure in your life might not have stopped that. But I'm just saying, being raised without a father and twin brothers, all of whom became victims of gun violence in the last decade. And another picture of another corner shop, which again is just graffitied to all hell. You're hearing about people getting ready to drop their kids at school, and someone walks up and takes the parent out in front of their children. Really? Jeez, I haven't seen anything, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's anything that would be terribly incorrect. They don't care who they target. The saddest part is that they don't even need a reason. Carlson took aim at the Charm City last week after it suffered the deadliest January in nearly 50 years, with 36 lives snuffed out and the majority shot dead in robberies and brazen attacks. Victims include a police lieutenant's husband gunned down by a teen with an open warrant for firearms offenses. Again, yeah, what are these Democrat leaders actually doing there? Oh, we need to make guns illegal. We need to get these illegal guns off the streets, instead of going after and following up on these apparent firearms infractions. Because as you see, that seems to be just like a common theme, okay? Like all of the other cases that we've been following and talking about on the channel, a wide majority, an overwhelming majority, in fact, okay, have some sort of a firearms offense. And are they ever, followed up on? No, that's fine. Restaurant manager killed in a botched robbery, and a mom of 3 blasted dead in the street as she tries to earn extra money as a DoorDash driver. That's another very common story as well. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, those drivers just becoming victimized. There was that cabbie, was that the summer of 2020 or 2021? The one who was carjacked by 2 teens in Washington, and he was killed after he was drugged by the side of his vehicle, and those kids never faced any charges or anything like that. But that's what happens to guys just trying to earn a living. Victims and whatever you do, don't go to Baltimore. Oh no, Carlson warned viewers. Oh, that's Tucker, yeah. It's one of the worst places in the Western Hemisphere. It's a bit of Haiti in the mid-Atlantic. Well, crime statistics, if you just want to point at those, if you're judging on that. But if you want to watch, the Ravens, can't really go anywhere else. If you want to catch a home game, I'd recommend. They're eventually going to be good again, trust me. The city has recorded more than 300 homicides every year since 2015. Wow. With an average of 1 every 30 hours for 7 straight years. Holy shit. All right. And residents are fearful that yet another 12 months of carnage. Is there any indication that that won't be the case? Mother of 5, Rashida, out of work since she lost her school receptionist job during the pandemic. 2 years, really? Okay. Wants to pack up and leave Baltimore for the sake of her youngest son, Jared. Yeah, right now you're about a 60% survivability rate for your kids. I would think that might be the best idea. 9-year-old is growing up without his father. Rosheda's former partner, Querl Grittens, 38, was shot dead when an argument turned deadly in 2014. Okay, fuck's sake. Violence has gotten so bad here that not only have I lost 2 sons, I've lost a nephew, and my godson was murdered and thrown in a train tunnel when he was only 14. Wow. If I'm going to take all of these stories at face value, this is the most unfortunate woman I have ever heard from in my life, and I have no reason to believe that she's lying, really. This is the unbelievably tragic story. So yeah, just taking a look at some of these beautiful little graphics that they have here. Violent, this crime in Baltimore. I'm just going to go ahead and assume it's all violent, but this is just all through the first month of 2022. 225 aggravated assaults, 32 homicides, 51 carjackings, 203 robberies, 52 shootings, 248 burglaries, and 978 property crimes, for a grand total of 1,819 crimes through the first calendar month of 2022. Congratulations. Congratulations. Baltimore's annual homicide rate, as you see, it started off at a tepid under 200 in 2011 with 196. It went up just about another 20 in 2012, okay? And then we're just going to go ahead and see the massive spike in 2015 with 344, and then it dips a little bit in 2016. It dips again in 2018, despite the fact that it peaked at 348 in the year of 2019, where it's just relatively remained the same. more or less, over the past near decade at this point, 7 years. I don't know what seems to be the through line on all this stuff. And we're also losing the ones behind the trigger. Some of them are 13, 14, 15. Eventually, it will be their turn. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. Baltimore has already left an indelible mark on 11-year-old Kaylin Washington in the form of a bullet lodged in her back. What? 11. Kaylin was shot a short distance from her godmother's house house to the store to buy a bag of hot Cheetos. Okay, not a lot of good decisions are being made here, but okay. And a Slim Jim. Again. When a gun battle erupted 3 blocks. Oh my lord. Okay. I heard 4 or 5 gunshots and I got scared. I wanted to run, but I froze and it was too late, and then I felt it in my chest. Wow. There was a little pain, but I felt more sleepy. Yeah, unfortunately, you were dying, but thankfully, things turned around. I was trying to yell, but my body was too tired. The bullet struck Kaylin several inches above the heart, puncturing a lung before embedding itself so deep inside that the doctors fear that it will do more harm by removing it than good. Oh, great. So now she's going to have a fun story to tell whatever metal detector operator that she passes through for the rest of her life. Oh, don't worry about me. No, I'm just going to set off the metal detectors because I have this bullet just kind of lodged like right here. Thanks to when I was shot when I was 11 years old, 3 blocks away when I was just going to go get a snack because I live in Baltimore. You can just come to expect that. She spent 10 days in the hospital following the shooting in March of last year and suffers lingering pain and anxiety when she hears loud bangs or fireworks, justifiably and understandably so. Her mom, Jasmine Ramsey, 33, was born and raised in Baltimore, but now sees danger lurking around every corner. It took you that long? And again, I'm seeing a disturbing lack of male figures in any of these stories. Just saying, just want to point out the obvious. I'm not saying bad things don't happen elsewhere, but you can't go anywhere in this city. You can't do anything without fearful of what could happen, says Jasmine, a hospital lab technician. At least she has a good job. I don't want to let my daughter go outside to play. I can't let her be a normal child. There's a crisis here, and it's getting worse and worse. Carlson's monologue savaged Democrats at both the city and national level for turning once beautiful Baltimore into a slum with progressive policies that he claims coddles African-American lawbreakers and condones drug abuse. Well, those are the people committing the crimes, just saying. Sorry to point out the obvious. He singled out White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki in particular for appearing to dismiss questions on surging U.S. crime, accusing her of not caring what happens in urban communities barely 40 miles from Washington, D.C. Baltimore is exactly what happens when you apply Jen Psaki's ideas to governing. Yeah, Baltimore is a city run by people who fervently believe in the equity agenda, yes, and consider gender studies a legitimate academic principle, yes. In Baltimore, pretty much everyone in charge is black. No, not just pretty much. Literally everybody. The mayor, the city council, all of them. Every single person on city council is black. Yeah, they don't want to address black crime. What's the problem? White supremacy? Just like a 70% black community. I don't know, man. I don't know. Carlson's dig prompted a flood of outrage with celebrity critics flooding to Twitter. Oh, who gives a shit what Twitter has to say? Who brand him a racist for pointing out obvious things? It's like, what did he just... Okay, cool. Yeah. Crime's going down in Baltimore. Crime goes down in New York. Crime goes down in Los Angeles. I'm not saying like any of the reports or crime itself is actually going down. Things are going down in these places. What's the through line, kids? U.S. State Department currently advises against all travel to the 3rd largest Caribbean nation as it battles a wave of civil unrest, kidnappings, and political assassinations that culminated last year in the murder of President Jovenel Moïse, speaking about Haiti. But for some of those living with painful legacy of loved ones to Baltimore's deadly shooting epidemic, the comparison does not seem so absurd. Yeah, if you just look and you stop going, oh, racist, around every corner, if you're just honest with yourself for one fleeting moment. Lakeisha Price, mother of 2, was on a date with her boyfriend Sydney Brewer, 35, in May of 2019 when masked gangsters emerged from the shadow. Was this the 1920s? Masked gangsters appeared around the corner and emerged from the shadows and sprayed bullets at their car. Why? Again, why? They either mistook Lakeisha, 42, she's the lady in the picture there, for someone else, or simply didn't care who they slaughtered alongside their their intended target brewer, obviously. But now for just a little bit of a change of pace, owner of King's Grocery Store, Mohammed Rashad Khan, 54, sorry, dyslexia. His business has tanked because residents have turned into buying drugs instead. No, you don't say. That's not another thing that's rampant there, but I don't think that's specific to the violent crime that's here. But you know what? Hey, you know what would definitely change all of this, making all the drugs legal? There definitely wouldn't be any unintended consequences with that. But this dude right here, Price's cousin, that would be Lakeisha, the previous lady that we showed as well in the white dress, okay? Price's cousin, a former cop, Larry Walker, 42. 52 numbers, and I should know that. It's the greatest number ever. The mom had never been involved in any trouble, paid the price for dating the wrong man, and then he had some very spicy things to say as well. A lot of the problems here stem from the fact that there's a lot of systemic racism issues that have not been dealt with, Walker said, but black leaders have been in the position of authority in the city of Baltimore for 20 years. Yep. We've had succession of black mayors, none of them have seized the opportunity to turn things around. It's not racist to criticize poor leadership. These politicians need to step up and do their job. Yep. Oh, and then the last person we're going to cover here, John Williams, 53, somebody who's experiencing and reaping the benefits of a booming industry. A funeral director said homicides in the city have become so common that they are sometimes ignored by the media. Yeah, there's just not enough of the headlines to cover. And again, if you get certain types of murders or certain types of victims, certain perpetrators that are out there, they don't really like to cover those ones as much now, do they? Because those ones, you can't stoke the whole racist narrative on there now, can you? Of course not. But if you guys want a little bit more insight on this situation there, and again, I definitely do urge you, if you feel so inclined, it's a very long, very comprehensive article with a bunch of different interviews that happen. Daily Mail's very, very good at doing this type of stuff. But again, I have a little soft spot in my heart for Baltimore, and I wish them to do better because I'd love to be able to go down there one day, but not in the state that it's in right now. And I really hope that people start to realize that bodies lying in the street isn't a common occurrence, and you shouldn't be fearful of just going outside and living in your community. I'm just saying that's not a normal way to live life, and then supporting the people who constantly continue to do this over and over again isn't the way to do it, okay? Voting for the same policies over and over again, expecting a different outcome, is a type of insanity, and a type of insanity that has gripped Baltimore for at least 20 years, if not 50, probably longer than that. But with that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.